Just a quick note that this podcast was recorded and created during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, the movies being covered here wouldn't exist. Please support our actors and writers in getting fair wages and compensation. Go to sagaftrastrike.org for more information. Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Three Films and a Podcast. My name is Ben Lawhorn, and I am joined by two guys who are feeling pretty, Tyler Beck and Matt Weiler. What's up, guys?
Hello, Ben.
I do feel quite pretty.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. For those of you new to the show, allow me to welcome you to our movie club. And for those of you returning, welcome back to the movie club. We're happy to have everyone here. Please tell people about us if you want, if you like what you listen to. Word of mouth is fantastic. You can find us everywhere at 3filmspod. And we have a website, 3filmspod.com, where you can go see the stuff Matt's created, get some merch or whatever if you want to support the pod. It's also just good to follow because we got some changes that we've announced, and starting 2024, we've got a new version of the pod that we're going to be doing, and we'll be announcing everything on our social channels. So it'd be good to follow us there and get all the updates. But for now,
you gotta stay updated, man.
You got to stay updated. You got to be hip with what the kids are talking about, and the kids are talking about this. Let me tell you.
Tell you.
Yeah, also, there's just like so much misinformation out there that you don't want to hear things going on with our pod that aren't happening.
Yeah.
We want to set the record straight there. So this is the one place that you can get. Yeah. You want to get your sources accurate and all that. So
this is the spot for that, without a doubt. Well, we are here to wrap up our remakes round. We've finally made it. In this round, we've done 5 episodes so far. This is our 6th episode. We each picked a couple of remakes, a couple of movies that fall within the remakes, and we've been talking about those. First, we did A Star is Born with our gal Babs, and then Bradley Cooper. We did Dune, my first Lynch movie, and then Villeneuve movie, which was awesome. It was so cool. And then last week, we talked about the original West Side Story, and we're here to talk about kind of like the audacious move of remaking this movie by Mr. Spielberg himself. Kind of couldn't believe that he did it. So we're here to talk about it, whether or not it worked.
As I like to call it, the second original West Side Story.
The second original. Not the first original, the second original one. Nominated for 7 Oscars and winning 1 of them. This is the film adaptation of 2021, again by our buddy Stevie. This movie stars first-timer Rachel Zegler. Did you guys know this was her first movie ever?
I did not realize that.
Bananas.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, she did such a good job. I thought she was amazing in here. You know, our buddy Patrick Kottner has been on here a couple times from George Lucas Talk Show, and Rachel Zegler's also been on the George Lucas Talk Show. So we are 1 degree away from Rachel Zegler. I just want to make that known out there. Thank you, Patrick, for that. She actually was on there, I think, on the night of the Oscars or something. Like, she joined their live stream, which I thought was kind of cool. So
that's rad.
Anyways, Rachel Zegler was awesome. We had Baby Driver himself, Ansel Elgort, David Alvarez, Mike Feist, the Oscar winner, Ariana DeBose, who did the damn thing, and the EGOT winner, Rita Moreno, making the return. It was cool to see her again. I liked her kind of swapping into that role. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the log line. This is an adaptation of the 1957 musical West Side Story. Explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, 2 teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds. This is a remake of arguably one of the most successful movies ever, most successful musicals ever. And I kind of want to dig into it. Like I said, I mean, I had never even seen it, but when I heard Spielberg was remaking it, you know, I was just like, what is he doing? Like, that feels like remaking Casablanca or The Godfather or something. Like, it felt somewhat on that level of importance in film history. And that's why I chose these movies. And it's for me, it's all been building up to this. Like, this is why I chose it, was Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. But I want to hear what you guys thought about it. Matt, was this a first time watch for you? Did you see this when it came out? Like, what did you think of the movie?
I had intended to watch it when it first came out. It was one of those, like, yeah, I mean, similar. My interest was piqued that Steven Spielberg was doing this. Obviously, I'm a big Spielberg fan, so I had high expectations. I was really looking forward to see what fingerprints he was going to get on this movie. I, for whatever reason, delayed a long time, and I did end up watching it maybe a year ago for the first time, and I watched it with my family. And I mean, my experience with it was to be expected. I think I like it more than the original. I love what Steven Spielberg brings to movies, and I liked the little upgrades that he made to like the Latin American culture in New York, that I thought were necessary, and they were great. And as you said, like, the performances were super awesome. So the casting was really well. I always, with Ansel Elgort, I always find myself like saying his name over and over again ad nauseum to my wife, like in like a Scandinavian accent, like Ansel.
Ansel.
It's the one with Ansel. So
Ansel's
stupid.
So hot right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
lucky woman.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I can't wait to hear, like, I can't wait 20 years from now to hear like my kids talk about the things that like dad would do. And I swear the Ansel Elgort voice is going to come up. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. We'll talk about like one of the scenes that I really love in the elevator pitch. But I think the most noteworthy thing about this movie is that it was my son Thomas's first experience with like not a happy ending.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah.
It was not something that was on his radar. He was not ready for it. On his Letterboxd, he gave this an atrocious review.
Oh, no.
Because he felt strung along and then just like betrayed. Honestly, he felt betrayed. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how we could have prepared him for it other than like showing him other tragedies. But this was like his first experience into that world, and he was not happy about it.
That's an interesting
personally.
Thought. Like, I'm curious what my first movie was without a happy ending. Like, it's amazing that you were there for this experience, because even watching the first one, I was surprised by the ending. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can only imagine what he felt at his age. Just like, wait, you can do this? Like, yeah. I've been hanging out with these people for like 2.5 hours. I
like these characters.
Like, gone.
What?
Like, this is weird. Like, oh, that's really interesting.
Well, Tom, I agree, buddy.
Tyler wasn't ready.
Still didn't love it, man. Still didn't love it. Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, even though you had never seen the original West Side Story, you were curious, like, what is he doing? Like, why is he doing this? And I still feel that way. Like,
yeah.
Other than like the updates and representation for the Latinx community, which I'm all about. That was like my biggest gripe for the original.
Yeah.
And I think, I guess if that's the reason that you're redoing this, then I suppose that's good enough. Or I suppose that's a worthwhile endeavor. Mm-hmm. But like, other than that, I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, yeah. I genuinely didn't see any other improvement. It was just as good as the original, you know, mm-hmm. which is actually like sort of an endorsement of the original in itself. But I guess like I didn't really know what to expect. I thought maybe there would be like at least one new song, and maybe there was. Maybe I just like am not paying enough attention. But like, to me, I was like, I just watched the same movie just with better representation, which again is important and great and worth it. But I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it just completely, I don't know. I'm just not the demographic for this movie. And like, I don't by default hate musicals. I think we talked about that in the last episode for the original West Side Story. I don't hate musicals by default at all.
Just these ones.
Sorry, what?
I said you just hate Rita Moreno. That's it. But you don't hate musicals.
0 for 2 with Rita Moreno.
I mean, she's like the saving grace in both movies for me.
Yeah.
Actually, like the character of Anita, I realize I really like that character. And then also like Rita played it very well in the original. And I really did like the update to Doc. Like, she takes over the Doc character here. And I really did like that. And I'm like, so it's got to be a mix of her plus, like, I just like those characters, especially Anita. I love Anita.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, if you love this movie, I'm certainly not going to knock it. I just don't get it. For me, there wasn't enough of an update to like make it worth it. And I guess, like, if you're Steven Spielberg and this is your pet project, then I mean, go ahead. But
yeah,
I don't know. It just missed for me, I'm just.
Tyler saved us thousands of subscribers by not knocking the people who like this movie.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's funny because this review sounds like you just watched like Gus Van Sant's Psycho, which is like a literal shot for shot remake. Like, I don't know why you did it. Like, it's the same exact thing,
That's honestly how I felt. I was like, I thought like maybe there would be a couple different songs, like I said, or there would be some different take on it. But I was just like, I'm pretty sure this is the exact
maybe
same
Vince
movie.
Vaughn.
I know it's not shot for shot.
Yeah.
Like Vince Vaughn wasn't in this. I was super bummed about that.
He would have been Officer Krupke.
So yeah. Yeah. Oh, he would have been a fun Officer Krupke. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't think it was necessary, other than like the updates for representation, which is great and worthy, but I don't know. That I could have spent a bunch of money on a bunch of different other things.
It's totally fair. But I guess, when you're Steven Spielberg, you just kind of get to do what you want, It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I left the movie not really sure why it existed, but I feel like it's good, like he did a good job. He's Steven Spielberg. Like, I don't know, like, I like Ready Player One. Like, I don't know that the guy can direct poorly. Like, I think he's gonna just make a baseline good movie no matter what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some stuff in here, I watched it with my partner and she brought up some good points of like, there seems to be some added depth to some of the characters. And like we talked about, like the significant lack of brown face is wonderful in this movie. Like, it's so nice to not have that. But, some of it is just like the times, like technology is better. You can get cooler shots now. You can do cooler tracking shots. Like, you can do whatever. But I found myself still at moments like I honestly kind of feel 50-50 where I wish I could crop these two movies together, because like as wonderful and stuff as like the high school scene was in this Spielberg one, I loved it in the first movie. Like the framing of the shots, like how everyone like it felt like longer takes. And I just like, I don't know, there's something about the way everybody was battling against each other that felt more intimate, I guess. I don't know exactly, if that's what it is, but I really loved that from the first movie. But in this one, I liked, how I mean, I just mentioned it, but like the Officer Krupke song, like where they're actually in the jail, and that's kind of cool to see that. And it's not just like on the street like it was in the first movie. Like, I appreciated how in some of these he switched up the context, or at least the location. Maria's like a cleaning lady now, and that's when she's singing I Feel Pretty, because she's in this kind of like quote unquote lowly job, and she gets to be around, as someone who for a living shoots houses that are like millions of dollars. I kind of understand where it's like you're just surrounded by things you're never going to be able to afford. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like in there. It was just like, yeah, I'm never going to pay. I mean, at that time, whatever, it was like $18 for a scarf, but whatever that translates to now, like $400 for a scarf. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to throw it on. So I liked that context. I think in the first movie, are they seamstresses or tailors or something like that? I forget the context of
I don't remember
first one, but anyways, I appreciated that. It's just some of it's just it looks better, but again, that's just a sign of the literal times. And the first
like,
one,
I like, I was like arguing with myself about this. I'm like, does it look that much better? Because the original is fucking remarkable, and we talked about it quite a bit. Like, I know it's different, obviously different technologies, better lenses, better whatever, versus like the Technicolor film stock they were working with. But like, I mean, the lighting and cinematography in the original, like you mentioned earlier, we have better technology, so it's easier to get better shots. But I think that's like one major notch in the belt for the original is that I feel like cinematically it holds up. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a knock against the new one. It's like I genuinely didn't feel, other than like better technology and film stock or whatever, that it was that much of an improvement, you know?
Yeah.
Because the first one is fucking incredible cinematically,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
No,
And I'm not saying that you don't feel that way, but it's just like that's just another thing. Like, other than putting new people in it, like I don't know. I'm just gonna say the same thing over and over, I guess. But
I guess in that sense, I mean, I felt like in the first movie there were some, scenes or whatever that were very much blocked, like the Broadway play, where it's just like it was very static and stuff. Which for me, like I talked about the high school dance, when they're doing that, it works really well for me because we have so much movement going on, and like the camera doesn't need to do much. Like, let's let these people do much. And that's where I lost it in this one, because he's still doing all these like overhead shots and moving the camera so much. I'm like, this is just, let me watch him, like I just want to see what's happening here. But there were other scenes that were just like they were just blocked kind of weird in the first movie. But that's, again, just kind of, you learn over time or whatever, like what looks good and what you like. I agree with you though. Like what they pulled off in the first movie, considering the time, was very impressive, and nobody did the knees off the handlebar flip like Russ Tamplin in the first movie. So, it missed out on that for sure. Like I was waiting for that to happen and I didn't get it, but yeah, overall I liked it, but yeah, I don't feel, I don't know if I've answered my question of like, why did he do this? Other than just like, I guess he just wanted to, and we get better representation. We get an update on that, which is needed and wonderful, but it's just still like, okay, we got that and that's great. But outside of that, I don't know. I guess I don't know that he went in with those like altruistic motives, as much as just like, hey, I love this movie, I want to make it, like, all right, cool, go for it, why not?
You earned it, Steve.
You've gotten us millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, so sure, we'll fund this.
Like, I wonder what the conversation was. Like, who did he? I didn't really do a lot of research. Did he produce this? Like, I guess I'm just wondering like what his pitch was and what their response is. I can't imagine it was anything other than like,
I doubt he needed a pitch.
Why? Like.
Yeah, that's a curious point.
Has he been pitching it for years? Like, I really want to remake West Side Story, and finally, whoever paid for it is like, fine, Steve.
Yeah. Or if this was a thing that he was passionate about, or the studio was passionate about, like maybe they wanted the update, and it was kind of, like the whole Schindler's List Jurassic Park thing of like, we'll let you make Fablemans, but you got to give us this like studio remake of West Side Story first. But who knows? Not me, that's for sure. But overall, I'd say the winner from both of these movies is Rita Moreno. She was awesome in both of them for sure. Also, fun fact that like this is the first time the same character has won an Oscar, because that's what Rita Moreno won for and what Ariana DeBose won. So it's kind of a cool thing to have happen. So and maybe one of your favorite scenes involves that said actress, and if it does, I'd be curious to know what it is, and if not, what your elevator pitch would be to somebody that you wanted to watch the Spielberg remake. If they had seen the first one and you're like, you got to at least check this one out for this reason, or maybe they haven't seen the first one, you're like, check this out, it's Spielberg, it's one of the greatest directors of all time, this is his take on it. I'm kind of curious what scene you guys would pick. Tyler, I'm gonna throw it to you first. Like, what would your elevator pitch be?
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
So before I say my elevator pitch, I just had a thought while you were speaking. Like, if someone hadn't seen either, I'm really trying to decide which one I would recommend.
Yeah,
they see.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Because they're almost interchangeable to me, and I can't decide if I would want them to watch the original because it is great, and I would like them to, have that like historical context or whatever, or if they should just watch the newer one because it has better representation and it looks more modern. It might be like more palatable to like a modern viewer or whatever.
Yeah, less
I don't know.
problematic.
It's an interesting thought experiment. Yeah, it's like, I mean, they're essentially the same. So just watch the new one because at least it is representative of the cultures that are in the story. But anyways, tell you what, if you are listening and you have a comment, please go to YouTube and tell us what you think.
Yes.
Because I'm on the fence. I honestly don't know. So I would show the probably my favorite song in the whole movie is the I think it's called Keep Cool, or maybe it's just called Cool or whatever. But it's when they find out that there's a gun involved, and Riff's gonna, is it Riff that has the gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna go shoot.
Like when he and Ansel are fighting over it on the dock or whatever.
Yeah, and I just love that song. It's like a really cool, like jazzy sort of like. It honestly kind of reminds me of like a Tom Waits song. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Just like kind of has like this, like not the sound of it, or not like the voice, obviously, but just kind of like the tone of it and the cadence of it, and I don't know, just a really cool like jazzy song. I really like that song. Between that and well, I won't say the other scene in case one of you have it, but there's besides I Feel Pretty, there's two songs I really like, and that's one of them. So I would show that just because I think it's I just like that music. It's been stuck in my head ever since the first one.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That scene is like a great example for me of, like I talked about last week, forgetting that this is a musical sometimes, and just how much dancing is involved. Because they just kept like doing spin moves and jumping over these holes. And it's like, just get the gun, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, this was the first time in that movie where it's like, come on, you guys, like, why are you dancing so much? Like, get the gun from him. But it was an awesome scene. That's a great choice.
That is a great choice. So I feel like I've let both of you revel in your uncertainty about which movie you'd choose enough.
Okay.
I'm a lot more decisive. I'm not a West Side Story head by any means. It's not like my favorite musical. It's not like I loved, either of the movies. I liked both of them quite a bit. And I certainly recognize some of the great shots and blocking and compositions of the first one. But to me, this second one was a much easier watch. I think the cinematic adaptation of this one felt way more like a movie. Ben kind of pointed that out, that some of the first one was very much just, blocked like the stage production.
Yeah.
You're just essentially watching, a taping of a Broadway play. Whereas this one felt like a true movie. And I think I enjoyed the cast more in this one. And I think I enjoyed the individual performances more, with the glaring exception of the backflip off the bar that Ben mentioned. You can't, that's unforgivable.
Yeah, you gotta have that. Yeah.
And I don't think, again, we're speculating what the purpose and intention of this movie was. I don't think he was necessarily trying to outdo the first one. I imagine that if this was like some type of passion project, there's just enough of love of the first one to feel like you had, something to do with the cinematic depiction of a source material that you really love. That's my best guess. But to go along with that, my elevator pitch, we mentioned like the school dance, and I genuinely loved the school dance from the first one. But I did find myself rewatching a clip over and over and over again of the school dance in this one. And it was just like, and Ben pointed out the technology that we live with today, but it's like this long shot where it starts like underneath like the sharks as they're like marching into the school.
Yeah.
And it's like backing up, and then it backs like through legs, and then it goes up and over everyone dancing. And then like it positions itself at like a pivot where you see like the sharks and the jets like enter the scene. And I just like, I can't believe that shot exists.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good.
And I don't really like call out shots like that very often. I'm not like a technical geek by any stretch of the imagination, but just like what they did with the choreography and being able to direct that shot was just, to me, that's the Spielberg of it all. And that's a shot where I could say like, this is one of the reasons why it's great that he did this.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. That's an amazing shot that, leading up to the high school dance it's hard to deny how great of a, kind of a oneer that is. And yeah, I don't know. It's a cool scene for sure. Like I said, the it's the one time I think the blocking of the first movie being stage musical-esque works for me, but this is a great intro into that whole dance. Yeah, I think it's a awesome choice. For me, it's scene again. I already kind of talked about. It's the Officer Krupke song. I like it. It's kind of interesting because this doesn't really have any of our 4 main protagonists in it. You know, it's like all the side guys who were in the jail together. But I just really enjoyed the choreography of this, utilizing all those benches, you know, to become like a desk or whatever, all that, like the therapist, like bench, like all that kind of stuff, throwing the papers around, all the spin moves. Like this one really, for me, this was probably my favorite moment of choreography throughout the whole movie. And it was just kind of interesting that it didn't involve any of our main people at all. It's just like the dudes. So the Jets themselves. So that's what I would show. I would think if someone was into it and they hadn't even seen, you know, the Oscar winning performance or, you know, Rachel Zegler or any of those guys, and they were still interested, I think this movie would kind of be for them. So that's the scene that I would show. And for me, it's one of the better updates from the first movie is this. Speaking of our 4 protagonists, I'm putting a new route in the Google Maps. We are passing Rushmore Mountain and we're headed straight to Lake Minnetonka. Actually, these guys don't know this. But I'm switching it up last minute. We're gonna go purify ourselves, and we're gonna do an Apollonia Award. Just talking about this, I was like, you know what? There's an obvious protagonist here, but I don't think anyone really gets a lot more screen time than some of the others. So I think it'd be fun for us to talk about who would take our Apollonia Award for West Side Story from 2021. I'd say everybody's fair game. I know Rachel Zegler is like our protagonist, but you know what? She's on the board. If you want to choose her, let's go for it. So I'm switching it up here. Last minute change. Yes, I don't know. Sometimes you're in the driver's seat. You're just going to change the route. So that's what I'm doing. Do either of you have someone in mind that you want to go with, or do you want me to go first?
I mean, okay. There's a part of me that's like, I guess I have 2 answers here. And I think one of them is fairly obvious. And I almost feel like it's the one that we should take off the table. But then I'm like, well, that's the clear winner then. You know?
Yeah,
like I'm thinking of Rita Moreno here. Just because she's just so great. But like, I think
we've sung her praises throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that we love her performance.
Right. Well, I'm going to go with my girl Anita, played by Ariana DeBose. DeBose?
Yeah, I think so.
I do think it might just be the character, but I really I loved both Rita's performance of Anita and Ariana's performance. I honestly don't know how much more I could say about it. I thought it was really, really good. And again, I think it might just be the character. I'm not entirely sure, but especially when she goes to Doc's this time, it's, you know, Valentina's, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and she, you know, she's trying to get that message across to Tony. I just thought her performance was really good. I really bought it. I really felt like her terror and like her strength in the face of that terror in that scene. I felt like, that scene in both movies is extremely harrowing and pretty gross. But maybe it's just because I don't know why it just seemed a little more harrowing in the Spielberg version. And honestly, maybe because I kind of expected them to cut it. I'm not sure why. Yeah. I thought he would like tone it down or change it. I didn't think it would quite go as far as it did towards the sexual assault as it did. For some reason, I thought that would get toned down or whatever, and it didn't. And I don't know. I just thought she did a fantastic job. And when I think of West Side Story, I think of Maria and Anita, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to Anita here. Ariana DeBose.
Awesome. I think her character is so great too, because she plays off of, I don't want to step on Matt's toes, but just briefly, like she plays off Maria and Bernardo. Like she does a really good job making that kind of a trifecta with the 3 of them. So yeah, that character is like really integral and important to the story. So awesome choice.
That is a great choice.
Gracias.
For me, one of the biggest upgrades from the original, in my opinion, and this is why I'm going to use this person, is
it Corey Stoll? Is that who you're going to pick? Is that your Apollonia? Corey Stoll with the wig on?
Yeah. Yes. It was Corey Stoll. No, I had a hard time in the original buying into Tony. I feel like he was a great like a good guy amongst like badder guys, but I just wasn't totally sold on. I don't know. I don't want to get too much. I don't want to knock the original Tony.
Yeah,
but I just felt like Ansel. I'm like almost saying it in
you
that
just
voice.
Wanted to say Ansel again.
Yeah,
I'm almost like saying it on accident just because anyway, Ansel. I just feel like he was an upgrade, a big enough upgrade from the original for me that I have to choose him because even though the female cast members in this like blew it out of the park, I also felt like the female cast members in the original were very strong as well. Whereas for me, Tony was not as strong in my opinion. And so I'm handing that award. I'm ripping it out of Tyler's hands to give to Ariana and giving it to Ansel.
Ansel and Ariana. Yeah, I think that was one thing I think I said with the first one is I can see why Spielberg chose Ansel. Ansel, you got it now in my head.
I know.
And I think it may have just been more the stature and stuff. I'm like, oh, they're kind of like similar, but he definitely brought, I think, a little bit more to this character for sure. And my selection kind of goes in hand with his, and it's Riff, Mike Feist, who played Riff in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he had one of the bigger set of shoes to fill because Russ Hamblin really is like so important in that first movie. Like he plays such a big part of it. And I think Mike Feist did a wonderful job bringing all the emotion. Like he really helped you understand like why the Jets are feeling the way they do. And, you know, playing off of Tony. And I thought it was a very strong performance. I think he's the choreography again, what all those guys are doing was super awesome. All I'm missing was the handlebar flip. That would have been perfection. But he kind of felt like the unsung whatever of this movie. And that's why for me, that's who I would give the Apollonia to, because that's kind of what I think about when I think about this movie. But really if I could split it, it'd be just the dynamic between him and Bernardo, because their tension, while not necessarily sexual in nature, it kind of felt like they got very close to each other, quite a bit. It felt palpable to say the least, but the two of them together were just, I mean, they're the heads of the Jets and the Sharks. They represent everybody. And I believed them, I believe that they both were so set in their convictions and in their ways. So if I was able to split it up, I would, but I'm going to go with Mike Feist on this. We mentioned at the beginning, but again, Rachel Zegler's debut on-screen feature film debut. This is literally the first thing she has in her IMDb, not even any other shorts or anything like that. It's crazy that this is the role that she gets. And I think she did an amazing job. So definitely just want to shout her out as well. But
for sure.
And then our buddy Corey Stoll, glad to see him.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
As you were speaking, and I was kind of thinking about it. I was thinking about Bernardo, and actually he's sort of like my 1B pick for Apollonia, because similar to what you were saying about Riff, I really bought Bernardo and Riff way more in this remake. The characters felt more real, and I really actually bought that they felt the way that they did and were as territorial and as proud as they were. In the first one, I was sort of just kind of buying in for the sake of the story. But with this remake, the performance actually really did make me buy in. I thought Bernardo. I actually think David Alvarez was pretty phenomenal in this as Bernardo, and the same for Riff. I felt their hatred and their pride way more in this adaptation than I did in the first. So that's a really good pick. And I don't know. I guess Yeah, maybe I would recommend this remake over the original.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're very close to taking a stance there.
Yeah, I think I'm taking a stance. We're going remake over the original here.
All right. Apollonia's all around. Well, I mean, with that, resounding endorsement, I don't know what more there is to say. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with old Stevie's West Side Story?
Just check it out. Check it out.
Yeah. Make your own decisions. I personally hope I never have to watch either ever again, but
it's totally fair. I promise not to pick it ever again. Well, sweet. Yeah, I'm glad I finally got around to watching it. I think I'm with you guys too, that this is the one that I would recommend, while maintaining that the first one is obviously very important. Won 10 Oscars, that's like nothing. That's not nothing. So
wait, are we recommending the remakes of each film remake?
I mean, definitely Dune and definitely this.
Yeah.
I mean, probably I would go Star is Born remake as well.
Same.
Absolutely. I think I would too. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Star is Born is close. Star is Born is close. I really do like Barbra Streisand in the original quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the remake is just really good. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's interesting. All remakes across the board. This is probably the closest between the original and the remakes would be West Side Story. But, give me that guy from Blade. It's going to make it a tough call. But,
I still love that someone in earnest commented on that.
So upset.
Makes me so happy.
I love it so much.
It's clearly did not watch the episode.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The guy from Blade. Are you kidding me?
That's Chris Christopherson.
But they did comment. We do love comments.
It's true. Yeah, I loved it. It was, great.
Yeah, well, it was a great comment.
Yeah, we
totally
appreciate
fair.
it. It's fun to see that stuff. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us for our remakes round. The next round that we have coming up is Legends. But before we get there, we do have a movie draft coming up, and we're going to be, our next round is French films, actually. Apologies. The next round is French films, which is exciting. We have some great movies coming up. We do. But first, we have our Rotten Tomatoes movie draft, which was a lot of fun. So join us for that next week, and then stick around for our French films, and we will see you guys soon.
Au revoir.
Shoshana!